Mr. Derek W. Smith, Sr., Media, Photography. We'll do one. Miss Donnelly Veronica Bowe, Agriculture and Marine Resources, retired Senior Assistant General Manager. Assistant Commissioner of Police, Dwight Alexander Adderley. In the field of law enforcement, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Earl Andrew Thompson. Mrs. Elaine Ernestine Sands, in the area of law enforcement. Former Assistant Controller of Customs, Gary Von Smith. Mr. Godfrey Michael Ellis, former Deputy Superintendent of Police. Captain Henry W. Curry, II, being recognized for his work with youth, health services, and a lab technician. Mr. James Simmons, also from the Department of the Correctional Services, Assistant Commissioner of Corrections. Assistant Commissioner of Police Janet Chantel McKenzie. Bishop John Wesley Ferguson. He's being recognized for his work in the church and in the community. Alley in the valley, valley in the alley. That's right, the rally, yes, youth rally. The late John Beadle, posthumously. We remember Mr. Beadle. Mistress Judith Carol Lightburn Blair. Ms. Blair is being recognized for her contributions in the field of education, retired early childhood and tertiary educator, Ms. Blair. We remember the late Kendall Hanner, posthumously. Mr. Kenneth Dudley Calvin Flowers. And we have with us Miss Lillian Hudson Jones. Miss Jones. Miss Jones is being recognized for her contribution in the field of health services and education. Nurse and, as I said, educator. Mr. Milton Hanner, Correctional Services, Assistant Commissioner of Corrections. Mr. Neville Adderley, Correctional Services. Assistant Commissioner of Police Roberto Tyrone Goodman. Assistant Commissioner of Police Roger Thompson. Assistant Commissioner of Police Shanta Emily Knowles. Okay, thank you. Ms. Knowles is being recognized in the area of law enforcement. Mrs. Sherry Ann Johnson Benaby. Health Services, a nurse in the health services profession. Mr. Theophilus Sabron Cox, former Family Island Administrator, and also being recognized for his contributions in the field of education. Mr. Theophilus Sabron Cox. Assistant Commissioner of Police Warren Lewis Dwayne Johnson. Mr. Johnson is being recognized in the area of law enforcement. Mr. Whitney Paul Ricardo Kenny, Acting Deputy Controller of Customs. Mr. Kenny. Mr. Wilfred Ferguson, also from the Correctional Services Department. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the Order of the Merit with Officer. Let's give them a round of applause, the officer. We now move to Order of the Merit Member. We have Order of the Merit Companion, and then Order of the Merit Officer. Now we move to Order of Merit Member. Mr. Anthony S. Capron. Mr. Capron is recognized today for his work in the field of journalism. Mrs. Catherine McKinney-Lambert. Mrs. McKinney-Lambert, Director of Marine Reef Preservation and an environmentalist with us. Let's give Ms. Lambert a hand for her work in the field of the environment. We recognize at this time a member in the Order of Merit, Miss Devon Charlton. Miss Charlton is a professional athlete, hurdler, sports professional athlete. And Miss Charlton traveled especially to be here for this honor today. She said she couldn't miss it, so she came in for this special honor by her country. Mr. Edward Joseph DeVoe. Mr. Edward Joseph DeVoe is being recognized for his many contributions in the field of sports and also in the automotive industry. Mr. Edward Joseph DeVoe. Pastor Lester Gilbert Herman Maycock. Pastor Maycock is being recognized for his work in religion and counseling. Marissa Dawn Mason Smith. Mrs. Smith is being recognized for her work in human resource development, chief executive officer, consultant, and human development. Pastor Lester Gilbert Herman, Mr. Robert Bob Pinder, is he with us? We have Pastor Rudolph Balfour, Bishop Balfour. Ladies and gentlemen, please give all of our honorees, Order of Merit member, a round of applause. That concludes that session. Excellency, are you okay? Shall we go on? Yes, yes. The Order of Lignum Vitae, Miss Shania Adderley is being represented. Miss Shania Adderley, she is an athlete who but have impressed our country, and she's being honored this afternoon in the Order of Lignum Vitae. She is 16 years of age and our youngest honoree, and accepting on her behalf here today. We move now to the Distinguished Service Medal, and we start with Ms. Agnes Elizabeth Ferguson. Ms. Agnes Elizabeth Ferguson. Ms. Ferguson, you would recall, was for many years in broadcasting, media, and journalists. That is Ms. Agnes Ferguson. Ms. Alfreda Doraline Strong. Ms. Strong is being recognized for her work as a volunteerism, and a chaplain retired. Mr. Alcet Cortez Delaveau, please. Mr. Delaveau is being recognized for his contribution in the field of education. Remember, we're dealing now with the Order of Distinguished Service Medal. Ms. Angela Johnson. Ms. Johnson is being recognized in the field of business, food and beverage, and on my notes, they say businesswoman, mean business. Let's recognize her, please. Oh, she's representing, okay. The late Grade 2 Customs Officer, Simonet, yes? Yes, thank you. Sean Simonet, yes, please. Posthumously, so you may proceed, yes. Simonet is today being remembered for his acts of bravery. And I think we should recognize him and thank him for his acts of bravery as we reflect on him today. Okay, Mr. ADC, it's time for you to step down. And we're going to call your last, you and Simonet. That's what happened. But now you should step down and receive your medal for acts of bravery. Superintendent of Police, Andrew Speeding. So we go back. Yeah, 1 minute. Miss Angela Florence Cartwright. Miss Anita, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to see all of you, but you can appreciate the effort of Ms. Cartwright this afternoon. Let's give Ms. Cartwright a round of applause as she now receives her recognition and her special honor. Miss Anne Molly Carmel? No. Miss Audrey Elizabeth Mortimer? We need to find Miss Anita Dillett. Recognized also for her work with the Correctional Services Department and Education Officer. Mrs. Audrey Dolores Sherman Dean. Ms. Dean is today recognized for her work in the field of education. Captain Austin Wellington Roberts. Please give a round of applause. Mr. Roberts is today being saluted for his work in the hospitality and transportation industry, and we have on our notes as a taxi driver. Please give Mr. Roberts a round of applause. And now we recognize Captain Roberts, Captain Augustine Ivan Roberts. He is being recognized for his many years as a pilot, the field of aviation, and youth development. Your Excellency, we take a 2-minute break, please. 5 minutes, please, with your permission. Thank you so very much. And we will now be entertained with a solo by Mr. Michael Taylor. Mr. Michael Taylor. Please welcome this young man.
Good evening, everyone. This is a tribute to all the honorees tonight. There's a hero. If you look inside your heart, you don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer. If you reach into your soul, and the sorrow that you know will melt away. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on. And you've cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. And you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face the world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. But you can find love if you reach into yourself, and the emptiness you felt will disappear. And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on. And you've cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. And you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Oh, the Lord knows dreams are hard to follow, but don't let anyone tear them away. Just hold on, 'cause there will be tomorrow. 'Cause in time you'll find the way. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on. And you've cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. So when you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. And you finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. A hero lies in you. Oh, it lies. A hero lies inside of you.
I think for a young man to get up here and sing that song, and given the challenges sometimes we seem to have with our young people, we could do better than that from young Michael Taylor. So let's encourage Michael Taylor. And he dedicated that song to our honorees. He said that's the song he wished to sing. We're going to ask the police band to give us another, just while we rest for 2 more minutes. we ask the police band to give us a hot one, okay? A spicy one. Well, that was very spicy. Thank you, Chief Superintendent Selden Adderley and the band. We continue with our honors at this time, recognizing those persons who have made their contributions toward the building of our Bahama land, and they will be recognized in the Distinguished Service Medal. We recognize Ms. Barbara Eleanor Gibson, yes, let's give them a round of applause, please. Barbara Eleanor, yes, you may proceed, yes. Miss Barbara Eleanor Gibson. Ms. Barbara Eleanor Gibson is from Crooked Island. And she wouldn't have missed this for the world. And she's recognized as an auxiliary nurse in the health services profession. Landrell Point. Please, let's give a round of applause to Ms. Barbara Eleanor Gibson. Mr. Bursell Taylor Miller? Yes. Yes, he hails from Eleuthera. He is being recognized for his work with the power and light operator, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Benedict Charles Dorset. Mr. Dorset is recognized for his many contributions in the field of education. Mrs. Betty Ann Sutherland Brown in the area public service, Deputy Permanent Secretary, retired. Ms. Beulah Carroll. Ms. Beulah Carroll is being recognized for her services in the health services. We have next Ms. Brenda Ruth Williams. Ms. Brenda Ruth Williams is being recognized in the area of fashion designer and an instructor in fashion design. Miss Beverly Patrice Pinder from Majors Key is being recognized for her services in the National Insurance. Senior clerk, all the way from Majors Key, Crooked Island. Mr. Brian Knowles is being recognized for his efforts in banking and having served as vice president. We remember the late Carlotta Zenda Glass? Yes, thank you. Posthumously, at this time, we remember Ms. Glass in the area of nursing. Mr. Cedric William Bethel. We have a representative here, hails from Eleuthera, Queens Highway, hospitality, music industry, entertainer. On every island, there is a Queens Highway and a King's Highway. Thank you so very much for being here. Mistress Celestine Elizabeth Spence Barnaby. Miss Celestine Elizabeth Spence Barnaby is also from Crooked Island, Church Grove, and she's being recognized for her services as a trained clinical nurse. Christina May Donita Allen, law enforcement. We remember the late Christopher Bain posthumously. In the area of law enforcement, former superintendent of police. Ladies and gentlemen, we recognize all the way from Landrell Point, Crooked Island, Mr. Clinton Charles Cavallo. Crooked Island is in the house tonight. Mr. Craig Bowe. Mr. Bowe, please. Mr. Bowe is being recognized for his work in business. Miss Cynthia Olive Poitier. Ms. Poitier is being recognized for her work in finance, particularly finance payroll, accountant retired. Mr. Daniel Henry Leiden from Long Key. Come on, let's give Long Key a round of applause. He's represented here, and he is recognized for his work in hospitality, bonefish guide, and as a good businessman, all the way from Long Key. Daniel Henry Leiden. Mr. Daniel Henry Leiden, and then we have Mr. David Irving Ferguson. In that order. In that order. Mr. Ferguson hails from Long Key, Crooked Island. Okay, that's a typo. He comes from Crooked Island. He is recognized for community, family island development, and they have here Chief Counselor. Miss Debbie Mackenzie Lightburn is recognized for her services in the area of flight services, Bahamas Air, I think it is. Mr. Lawrence Sweeting, also from Eleuthera, recognized in the area of health services. In fact, Mr. Lawrence Sweeting is a health inspector. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Alistown in Bimini, Miss Donna Grant. And she is being recognized for her work in the field of education and religion. I give you Mrs. Dorcas Alberta Farquharson Morse, all the way from Crooked Island. Crooked Island is strong this afternoon. She works as the clerk in administration. Ella Jane Anderson. Ms. Anderson is being recognized for her work in the health services as a nurse. Okay. She hails from Auckland. Let's give Auckland a round of applause. So we have Crooked Island, we have Auckland, we have Bimini, we have Eleuthera. Mr. Elton H. McKinney. Now, Mr. McKinney is from Crooked Island, I believe. Yeah, Landrell Point. Landrell Point, Crooked Island. Miss Eugenia Renee Roberts. Business and straw work and a business lady. Mr. Everett Zenas Mackey, recognized for his work with youth development, community, IT specialist, and technical support engineer. Mr. Mackey. We recognize Ms. Fidelisa Bain, Ms. Bain, in education, youth development, and she is a retired educator. Mr. Frederick Albury, a businessman in the automotive industry. Mr. Frederick Albury, please. Ms. Gail Patricia Wisdom. Ms. Wisdom is being recognized for her many years in education. Ms. Wisdom. Mr. Gerald Erskine Cunningham from this Crooked Island again, I believe, Cabbage Hill, technical services and radio technician. Almost. We recognize at this time for his many years in media, journalism, Mr. Gladstone Charles Thurston. Mr. Thurston. Mr. Harrison Franklin Horton. Think there's someone. Mr. Henry Dumet in the area of hospitality, transportation, and taxi driver. Mr. Howard John Bastian is represented here this evening for his work in finance as a chartered accountant. And his sister is receiving, I think we got notice that his sister is receiving on his behalf. Mr. Hughley Morse. Mr. Hughley Morse is being recognized for his work in industrial relations in the area of labor, trade unionist, Mr. Hughley Morse. Mistress Hyleen Scavala Morse. Miss Morse hails from Landrell Point, Crooked Island. Office Manager, Senior Executive Officer. Mr. Ian S. Clark. Mr. Clark is being recognized for his work as a barber and in the field of business. Force Chief Petty Officer Ida Mae Diane Ferguson in the field of the Defense Force and Border Control. Ms. Ingrid Roll from Bimini in the field of education sends her regrets. She is unable to make it here today. Mr. Ivan Patrick Joseph DeVoe. Is being recognized for his work as a public officer, having served as Deputy Chief Passport Officer, and also being recognized for his work in youth development. Chief Petty Officer Ivan Patrick Turnquest is being remembered posthumously in his field with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Mr. Jeffrey Livingston Francis. Courier Services. Miss Jennifer Elaine Brennan. She is being recognized for her work in the hospitality and a protocol consultant. Reverend Joseph Augusta Cunningham, Sr. is being recognized for his work in security services. Mr. Joseph Lorenzo McKinsey. He is today being recognized for his work in the area of photography. Sergeant Warren Pratt is recognized for his work in the area of law enforcement. Miss Judy Ann Wynn. We remember the late Kervin Morley Sr. posthumously, and we apologize for that typo. It should read Kervin and not Kevin. We recognize Pastor Kirtland Benjamin Smith for his work in the field of religion. Mr. Leroy Milton Sumner, public service. Having served as Undersecretary Mr. Lester Roswell Baines, represented here this afternoon from Meguana in the field of religion, community outreach, and a religious leader. So please be reminded, Meguana is in the house. Levant Wright, Leland Line, in the field of hospitality and business. And I think that's, they said, Leland Kojak Lang, is that what he's called? I don't know. I just know Leland Line. We recognize Miss Lillian Louise Smith, the area of religion, hospitality, community, and social work. Mr. Livingston Adderley, Sr. is represented this afternoon for his work as a foreman, retired foreman, operator services. Mr. Llewellyn Henry Williams, recognized in the area of hospitality, transportation, and we have here public service driver. We remember today the work of the late Louise Popel, knee ramming, posthumously. Miss Lavinia Yulan Roll, administration, office administration. Miss Lucille Adele Scavaller. Is this Crooked Island? This is Crooked Island. Miss Scavaller is being recognized this evening for her work in the field of education. This evening, tonight, we recognize Mr. Lucene Mingo Sr. for his work as a businessman and electrical contractor. Again, I wish to say how pleased we are by the special effort made by these persons to come irrespective of their circumstances. Let's give Mr. Mingo a round of applause, please. Mr. Macumbla Avad Alfred Smith. Mr. Smith is being recognized for his efforts and his work in the field of physical fitness. He is a training fitness instructor. Miss Madeleine Lena Young. Miss Young. Ms. Young is being recognized for her work in hospitality, hotel management. Mr. Malachi H. Roberts. Mr. Roberts, who hails from Grand Bahama, is recognized for his work as a gospel artist, gospel singer, gospel performer, and a retired welder. Miss Marjorie Maria Wallace. Ms. Wallace is recognized for her work in business, hospitality. She's an entrepreneur. Simply put, she is a businesswoman. Miss Marjorie Maria Wallace. Miss Mary Mitchell. Miss Mitchell is being recognized for her work in law enforcement, Chief Superintendent retired. Mr. Nelson Ricardo Strawn. Mr. Strawn, a former Marine officer and a minister of the gospel, a Defense Force and Border Control Mr. Nolan Bartlett. Mr. Bartlett is being recognized for his work in community service. He is a mechanic by profession. Miss Norma Udell Roberts is being recognized for her work in education, agriculture, and fisheries. We have in our notes here, farmer and retired educator. That is Miss Norma Udell Roberts. Mistress Octavia Isadora King Johnson. Public service and retired from the Registrar of Insurance. Is that Cat Island in the house? Mr. Patrick William James Bethel. Mr. Patrick William James Bethel is recognized for his work as a businessman. Ms. Paula May McGregor, in the area of public service, having served in various ministries. Pastor Perry Rudolph Cunningham, in the field of religion and education. Reverend Philip Anthony McPhee is being recognized in the field of aviation. We remember Senior Lieutenant Ray Thomas Davis Sr. posthumously, having worked with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. Mr. Reginald Forbes, Mr. Robert Lance Simmons, Mr. Simmons is being recognized for his work in the area of law enforcement. Mr. Rodney Roland Gibson, Mr. Rodney Roland Gibson hails from Sims, Long Island, and he is recognized in the field of education. Miss Rosemary Hanna. Miss Rosemary Hanna she is recognized for her work as an historian, preservation of the Bahamas over-the-hill heritage, and preservation of Bahamian heritage. Reuben Bishop Roberts, hospitality and businessman. Mr. Rudolph Whitfield Arthur, in the field of religion, Miss Sandra Veronica Archer. Miss Archer is a retiree of the public service, having worked in the Treasury Department and the Ministry of Finance. We recognize at this time Ms. Shannalee Sands, field of education from Abaco. You need to get his name for me. Ms. Sharon Almays Cavallo, Postal Clerk, Landrell Point, Crooked Island. We recognize Mr. Spurgeon David Lightburn. Construction, religion, community development, contractor, welder, Mr. Spurgeon David Lightburn. The late Stanley DeVoe, posthumously. Stanley DeVoe is under the island of Auckland and was also in law enforcement, a pastor, a farmer, a builder. Miss Sylvia Rosalie Curtis. Ms. Curtis is recognized for her work in the area of insurance, religion, and Christian counseling. Mr. Timothy Bailey. No. Mr. Timothy Vernon Moses. Yes. Mr. Moses. Mr. Moses is recognized as a businessman in our community, as an auto dealer. Mr. Irvin O'Neill Moxie. He is being recognized today for his work in the field of butler services. Miss Vandria Belinda Munnings. Ms. Munnings is being recognized for her work in community development as a businesswoman and a crime watch general. Mr. Vincent Alexander Ellis, Sr. Hails from Bimini, and he is being recognized for his work in the area of sports and technical drawing, first Carifta coach, Carifta games, and sports. Mr. Wendell Gregory DeVoe. And is that Chester's Bay? Chester's Bay accolades, hospitality, accommodations, hotelier. We recognize at this time Miss Wendy Quant. Miss Wendy Quant is being recognized for her work in the credit union and cooperative development of the Bahamas. Manager retired. Ms. Wendy Fernanda with us this afternoon? No, I don't think so. Reverend Pastor Wesley Leo Thompson. Pastor Thompson is recognized for his work in religion, education. We recognize him this afternoon, tonight. Miss Wilhelmina Ruth Gibson is being represented tonight. That's Crooked Island as well. Landrell Point. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Willard Barr in the field of education. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, that concludes our presentations for 2024 honors. We have just concluded all of our presentations. And that last group was the Distinguished Service Medal. Let's give them all a round of applause. Please give Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Cynthia Pratt, a round of applause for presenting I know the hour is getting late, but I would hate to shortchange you, and I would like to give you the same courtesies that we did earlier today. So we're going to ask you to come up based on the groupings that I called so we can have an official photo with Her Excellency Minister Glenys Hanna Martin and Minister Mitchell, and the representative, the Honorable Shannon Dawn Cartwright. So we want to do that very quickly. The Order of Merit Companion.
Well, those are the recipients of the 2024 National Honors of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the smiles on their faces say it all, and we congratulate them all. But before we closed, a few quotes. One from the Honorable Fred Mitchell, who is the chairman of the National Honors Committee. He reminded us that every day we must fight for our identity. Keeping and preserving our Bahamian identity is of the utmost importance. The Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis, said, it shows what we can achieve when we commit to a common goal. And he says that this is all about reaffirming values, Bahamian values, being hardworking, unity, service, commitment to our people. And as I close, I'm thanking all of the team here, but would like to say that we hope that this inspires other generations of Bahamians, and that just a little reminder to continue to be good to one another, and let's continue to build a better Bahamas. Good evening.
I'm Lakush Lapinder. This is ZNS.
ZNS News is brought to you by the new BTC. Fiber is here. Faster, stronger, more reliable. Together, we are unstoppable. Switch today.
Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the National Report. Over 300 Bahamians receiving high honors this National Heroes Day. The Education Minister praising parental engagement. Recent concerns regarding the availability of blood bags put to rest. The Bahamas tonight, the National Report starts now. Good evening and welcome to the broadcast. The country's highest honors bestowed on hundreds of Bahamians